What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Hope you're having a good day wherever you are, whatever day it is. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon. But I got this little notebook here that I've been writing in. I found these little, they're like little mini blank books. And they're fun to try to fill up if you're anyone who likes taking notes or writing things down. All right, so I'm just going to read to you here what I have written down on these first few pages about the present moment. So, the present moment. The present moment is where it is. But it's not always easy for us to be present. And what does that even mean, to be present? I think it means to be immersed in our current experience. It may mean not being distracted in our minds with what is not actually going on in the moment we're in. So, what is being immersed in the present moment? I'll go over that again real quick. To me, it's to be immersed in our current experience and also not being distracted in our minds with what is not actually going on in the moment we're in. So when it comes to peace and fulfillment or contentment, I propose that the present moment is where that is. And so that's what I was thinking when I wrote that first sentence. The present moment is where it is. It's where what we're seeking for is. It's where what we're trying to get to is. And in saying that, it means it's not anywhere else. It's right here. It's not anywhere else. But we have to figure out how to bring it to right here, to right now, to the present moments. How do we make happiness the way rather than trying to work our way towards happiness? You know, it's like I've said before, it's like you're doing something to do something else. You're not doing it to do it. You're doing something to get happiness later rather than finding out how you can be happy just to be happy. That sounded fluffy when I said it. It's like trying to figure out how to bring happiness to the moment rather than trying to do things to get you to happiness. Now let's go back. When it comes to peace and fulfillment or contentment, I propose that the present moment is where that is. The question becomes, is that where we find it? And how? How do we find peace and contentment in the present moment? Or how do we bring it to the present moment? And that's exactly what I wrote after that. I think we learn how to bring it there. And when we are there, in this immersed in our current experience, while we're not distracted in our minds with what is not actually going on in the experience we're in, when we are there, and we learn how to bring it there, it's a lot easier to bring it to life. It's a lot easier to choose happiness as the way to experience or as the way to act, because when we're really immersed in the moment, we're not distracted. When we're really immersed in the moment we're in, and we're not distracted or filled with all the idle past disappointments or future desires, those, I think, are the most inhibiting for peace or the most driving for growth, paradoxically. It's a wonderful paradox. And see, that brings me to, I almost wonder if we need to reconsider this whole idea of like trying to be happy all the time, because that's something I'd like. I'd like to figure out a way to make happiness the way all the time, to where no matter what it is you experience, you're always fine. And see, when I say that, I feel I'm like, that doesn't, even though we'll be fine, it doesn't mean that we're always happy about it. And I think that's fine too. It's interesting to me, but I do recognize that fact. I'm not trying to say that happiness, and when I say happiness, I'm talking more about peace and fulfillment and contentment and these higher versions of the fleeting emotion that is happiness. But so I think those are the most inhibiting for peace, our past disappointments or our future desires. But those are also the most driving things for growth sometimes in our life. There's something I wrote one time about the difference between certain people and motivation versus being pushed or pulled or driven, and whatever the opposite of that would be. But you know, sometimes some of us require a push from behind. Maybe that being a past disappointment, or somebody getting on our case, so to speak, and pushing us. And then other people, that works terribly, doesn't work at all, causes them to crash and give up and lose their drive towards growth. But then there's other versions of us, or there's other individuals. I'm sure there's probably more than two versions of this for how many different people there are in life. But, you know, some of us require this push, and then others require a pull, something in front of them that they're reaching out towards. Or maybe instead of somebody, you know, telling them they're not doing so great, it's coming from the front and saying, you're doing good, keep going. And for some, that may not be the right way. That may cause them to crash and fall and give up and whatever it may be. Now, let's go back to what we were saying here. Human wholeness may come from three things: waking up, growing up, and showing up. I'm not sure what I was watching when I was taking this part of the notes. The first page here, I was just kind of ranting in my head and writing it down until we got to the wonderful paradox. And then I was like, So human wholeness may come from waking up, growing up, and showing up. All of those meant metaphorically. Waking up meaning becoming more conscious and aware of the nature of reality. That's interesting. Because when I wrote that, I was trying to think of a way to describe waking up. And it was like, how would you describe waking up? Simply. And to me, it was that. It's like becoming more conscious and aware of the nature of reality. So sometimes maybe we don't know as much about reality as we could. And so therefore, we could be in a stage of what some may call sleeping or lack of awareness. And so waking up, sorry, I had a distraction. Waking up, and it's interesting to think about it this way, at least for me, becoming more conscious and aware of the true nature of reality. I think maybe I was afraid to put the word true because, who really does know the true nature of reality? The more you discover that you don't know, right? If you agree with that, leave me a comment and let me know. If you're getting value, consider subscribing. Now, growing up, meaning the process of adjusting and beginning to direct our own path based on our new or increased awareness. So based on the first one, you become more conscious and aware of the nature of reality, and then you begin to adjust and direct your path in a new direction based on your new or increased awareness. This, some may call alchemizing, or, the alchemy of our life, of taking in what it is we go through, what it is we grow through, what it is we learn from, and where it is we want to go towards, and gathering information and becoming more conscious and aware of the world as we go on. Especially once you begin to really open your mind and research and look at things, you start to realize you're not who you thought you were. That you probably begin to find out once you break out of the societal conditioning that we've all got, is that we're way greater than we thought we were. We're far greater. We're freaking superhumans compared to what was told to us, right? I mean, the more I begin to discover about the power of the mind and, the power of these subtle energies and things that are almost hard to put words to unless you take the time to, really try to categorize all these things that have always been told to us that were impossible for human beings to do. And every day that goes by, things that we once thought were impossible are proved to be exactly the opposite, which to me would not mean possible, but would mean easily possible for most of us if we would shift our awareness and become more conscious of the nature of reality, the true nature of reality. So then showing up, what was it? I loved the human wholeness may come from waking up, growing up, and showing up. So adjusting or alchemizing, beginning to direct our own path based on our new or increased awareness would be the growing up. Showing up, which was what I've been trying to practice these last few days. I had to come to terms with that thing in your mind to where you're like, all right, am I going to, when you're going through stuff, whether it's, arguments or disagreements with loved ones, or, you're stressed about things or having anxiety and whatever it may be, those may not always be the times that you should force an action. There's a great quote that says, not even nature can sustain a forced action. So it never storms all the time. It may storm for a long time, but eventually the storm subsides. And so I think the lesson is that you can't, there is a time for each thing. There is a time for contemplation. There's a time for dealing with yourself. Then there is also a time for sharing. In whatever it is you're doing in your life, there's different areas to show up. Showing up here is one area of my life. Showing up in my relationship is another area of my life. There's all different areas of showing up. And so that was another thing. I was trying to not beat myself up for not showing up here every single day, because that's something I've wanted to do, but man, it's difficult for some reason. So showing up, meaning how we bring that which is the result of the waking and growing process to our daily moment-to-moment experience. What we bring to life. And this goes back to the present moment is where it is. And when we're there, I think when we learn how to bring it there, and when we are there, it's a lot easier to bring it, because when we're really immersed in the moment, we're not distracted or filled with the idle past disappointments and future desires. So waking up, growing up, and showing up. We become more aware of the nature of reality. We begin to alchemize or adjust our path and our direction based on this new awareness. And then we bring that which is the result of the waking and growing process to our daily moment-to-moment experience. What we bring to life, ladies and gentlemen. Another way to say what we bring to life is what we choose to express and embody in our very existence, mentally, emotionally, and physically. How do we begin this process, though, is one of the real hard questions. Wayne Dyer put it perfectly by saying this, and it's so funny. I was like taking these notes, I was listening to a podcast, I was like writing down my ranting thoughts. The thing that I got from whatever I was listening to was the waking up, growing up, and showing up. And I was like, man, that'd be a great little book talking about those three things. And so I tried to describe those three things to myself in this page that we were just going through. And then the page before that was me trying to talk about the present moment being where it is that we find the contentment, the peace, the happiness that we bring to our life. And it's funny how all of this links together. And then Wayne Dyer's book is sitting on the table next to me. I don't just read Wayne Dyer's books for these videos. I do that stuff for myself as well. And I try to share it with you because it's something that I would share with anybody in my life if they were willing to listen. And that's part of the reason I started this channel, is because most people aren't willing to listen for a few moments. But before I get too far off track, let's keep going. Wayne Dyer put it perfectly by saying this: recognition. It may appear obvious that one must first recognize something before applying it. To me, that talks about the waking up process, becoming more aware of the nature of reality. You must first recognize something before applying it. But this is actually the most troublesome step in moving towards spiritual illumination. And you can remove the spiritual illumination on there. I think that's just a goal that where I'm trying to go and where we're trying to go, those of us that are here. But not every one of us is going towards spiritual illumination. It's funny, there's people like walking around outside. But the waking up process, or even the initiation of that process, is recognizing that something different is possible. Or that there's a different way to look at what is possible. Some have described it as beginning to relearn everything that you thought you knew with a new awareness. One that's more open. It's fascinating. I liked that line. Or even the initiation of that process, recognizing that something different is possible, or that there's a different way to look at what is possible. Beginning to relearn everything that you thought you knew with a new awareness, or one that's more open and willing to seek and discover the true nature of reality. But when it comes back to happiness, to finish this off, happiness, fulfillment, contentment, peace, whatever the true meaning of the fleeting emotion happiness is for you, whatever the more permanent version of happiness is for you, comes back to happiness, fulfillment, contentment. It comes to purpose. And I think that's what we need to begin to look at when we lose purpose, when we lose our why. You know, when we lose our drive or our push or our pull, exactly what I was talking about earlier. Friedrich Buechner said, the place God calls you to, or spirit, or whatever you want to refer to, the unified field, the intelligent awareness that is all things, that's breathing and beating me at this moment, breathing and beating my heart without me thinking about it while I'm talking. He said, the place this calls you to is the place where your deepest gladness and the world's deepest hunger meet. And that's all I got so far. But I think that's a beautiful way for us to begin to bring happiness to the moment, for us to find the moment, to be in the moment, and then to begin to bring that feeling, that good feeling that we want, where we want to be. So seek to achieve and maintain happiness in the moment in your life, and seek to achieve the hidden wisdom of the ages. Smash the like button and subscribe. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.